both seen each other's music online, on Facebook or Instagram, and listened to each other, and then you were like,
I just got in touch.
Could any chance of any gigs up north? Because I like David's music, I was like, yeah, I'll sort out a couple of gigs, and then me coming down here is like the reciprocation of that, and it's really nice to do it on a do it yourself kind of.
And also
way.
your music works well together, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The two of you performing together works
That's what
well.
we thought, isn't it? It's kind of a nice double bill. Yeah.
When you look in, I was thinking, Henry, your set, you do a lot of traditional arrangements and things.
Yeah.
Is that something that you has always been there, or how does that compete with writing your own original material?
I guess when I got into folk music from listening to like rock and heavy metal, really, I kind of found myself flung straight to the other end and was listening to really traditional music straight away.
Yeah, I know you had a Damascus Road experience from Sabbath to Bert.
Yeah, but then, I mean, now in some of what I do, I want to try and drag some of that old, the gnarliness of what I used to be listening to more into my own music. But I very much made an about turn and was playing almost solely traditional music and things like that, just because it really grabbed me, and it's something I didn't even know what a traditional folk song was until 5-6 years ago. So and then that really grabbed my attention, and now I just want to be able to write my own songs that can sit side by side with those traditional songs and be different enough but similar enough. And, yeah.
I think my sort of folk influences come more secondhand, like through people that were more attached to traditional music than I am. So like John Martyn or Nick Drake or various people like that, and obviously Pentangle and bands like that. That they were much more attached to the folk tradition.
Yeah, you're coming into
and I'm coming
secondary way.
Secondary, and even people like Elliott Smith and folk guitarists. Like, I think I came to it not really knowing much about the folk tradition, but the more you listen, the more you look back and go, okay, that's who they were listening to then, and you realise, because me and Henry, there's a lot of similarities in our music, but it's not because we've listened to each other, it's because we've listened to the same stuff. So it's like the tree that comes down.
It's like finding that source, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah. Or we've listened to people that have listened to the same stuff. Do you know what I mean? It goes back that distance.
If I had a key to unfold the symmetry and throw down the threads to pull up the page, balance this hourglass, put up the light, cones facing every way, travelling right.
when you're looking forward, when you've both got, I think you've done 2 albums, so is that right? And Henry, you've got Silent Spring out, obviously. What's the moving on? Is there any sort of thought of progression in your music, in like I want to move it in another direction or anything, or are you comfortable within what you're doing now? And
I think at the moment, I think I'm on a big learning curve, and I'm making albums in different ways and different methods and different approaches, and I feel like I'm just learning with everything I do, and I just want to keep getting better and realizing, you know, what I can do well and what I can't do well, and just sort of striving to make the best of all of that, and you know, hopefully 5-6 years down the line, I hopefully do something, you know, I'm really sort of satisfied with.
do you find songwriting an easy thing to do? Is it come naturally to you?
I don't think of it as hard. It might take a long time sometimes, but it's never like I'm always happy when I'm doing it. It's not like a slog. I enjoy every moment of the process. It's what I want to be doing.
Henry, that's for you. Have you found that songwriting element?
Yeah, I mean, now I've got something concrete out there. It's a cliche, but I now feel the pressure to follow it up somewhat, and you know.
But equally, you must have the confidence that you've had a lot of great reviews.
Yeah.
And they're not going, oh, his trad stuff's great, but I'm not sure about his songs.
Yeah,
you know,
so that is nice. But I always get riddled with self-doubt as well. So, but no, I'm looking forward to setting some more time aside and writing more.
David, you said at some point today in the set, you said something about the weird folk scene, or the how do you define that as? Is that like a sort of psychedelic progressive offshoot of what I would term the folk scene?
I don't know. It's kind of I mentioned it in that way because of the Hereford group of people here that call themselves Weirdshire. So it's all just interesting, strange folk music from Herefordshire, and they're a really nice bunch of people that make music together and putting on gigs like today, and they really make the effort to you know, keep some interesting live music happening in Hereford. But yeah, I don't know how to.
It's labelling again.
It's just noises.
But you said, Henry, didn't you? You talk about progressive folk.
Yeah.
Like there's a link to prog rock. It's sort of got that link to it, hasn't it? That perhaps what we term straight folk music perhaps doesn't have so much. Is that leaning back against to the influences that we've been talking about? Is it?
Maybe. I mean, maybe a lot of what you might term the weird or progressive folk music. Maybe that draws more on the kind of the old 60s and 70s scenes, and also I guess there's a lot of kind of discovery of these old groups who made one album in 69 or whatever, and then, you know, you just checking out some of the obscure music that was made at the time.
So I guess having the term sort of progressive folk is quite interesting, because it draws me back to 1968, 69 straight away. You know,
I think it's the thing you said earlier. We both play a lot of modal sort of tunings, and I think that's a thing that is really associated with the progressive sound and the psychedelic sound. Is people playing in Mixolydian and Dorian modes, and it might be something that, if you haven't learnt the music theory, then you might, just because you haven't got the term for it, it doesn't mean you don't feel it. And people, I think people pick up on it straight away and go, oh, that's taken me back to this sort of
even if they
space.
don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Like me, I don't know what that means. I've heard him talking.
It's just it's the selection of notes in the scale that make you go, right, that sounds folky.
Okay.
That sounds
Yeah.
But it references a point, doesn't it? It, really
it does.
It's got that reference.
There's like a real link between certain modes and certain atmospheres.
That's a nice technical way. If you're trying to really find a technical answer to a question, that's quite nice to, because I mean the traditional folk songs were generally quite modal, like Renaudine and things like that. And I remember reading interviews with or an article about the folk song collectors, the Victorian folk song collectors, and they'd go out in the fields listening to these peasants as such singing the folk songs, and then they'd be like, oh my god, how could they be doing this? It's so complicated, because they were singing melodies which were so different from the popular melodies that were happening at that time. It's as well.
Even way back to Gregorian, sort of, if you're going really far back, that it's modal stuff.
Yeah.
Or say you've got a harp and it's in one key. If you start on a different note, you get a whole different sound.